Alright, you lot. We've reached endgame. Where Call of Duty went full snake oil. SBMM wasn't just present, it were weaponized. Store wasn't just aggressive, it were fucking omnipresent. And multiplayer? Data mined, dopamine draining mess with gunplay smothered in algorithm. From 2019 to now, this era gives us Warzone, DMZ, 3 Modern Warfares, 2 Black Ops, and 1 massive manipulated mess. This is where I quit. This is where millions quit. This is where Call of Duty finally sold its soul and handed us a receipt we never asked for. Let's dig in, strip it down, and bury this bastard once and for all. Modern Warfare 2019 was supposed to be a comeback. Trailer dropped, cinematic, grounded, and gritty. So we're back. Price had a beard. Guns looked and sounded like thunder. It were Call of Duty, but grown up, mature. With revolutionary new tech and a promise of boots on ground. And I believed it. So did millions of us. We paid, we downloaded, we queued up, and in 2 matches we all asked the same thing. Why the fuck are these lobbies so sweaty? This is where SBMM didn't just appear, it took over. Silent, brutal, relentless. Every game felt like rank. Every enemy pre-aimed you before you spawned. You win a few rounds, suddenly you were thrown into lobbies with crackheads running metal loadouts like they were screaming for prize money. Skill gap collapsed. Casual play died. Game punished streaks of success and shoved you face first into matchmaking misery. So I said, sod this. I dropped into campaign and it were good. Genuinely good. Dark. Sharp. Proper tense. Embassy mission. Night raid. Felt like Infinity Ward still had some of that old DNA. Till you hit multiplayer again. Remembered it had been replaced with spreadsheets and data science. Gunplay? Incredible. Visuals? Stunning. Sound design? Best in franchise. For under it all, heartbeat you could barely hear. Heartbeat and manipulation. Store crept in. Bundles everywhere. Operators. Blueprint. It wasn't in your face yet, but bones were there. COD point. Progression system. Battle pass schedule. Everything was designed to keep you playing, not to let you enjoy playing. It was best game in years and worst omen imaginable. It looked like Modern Warfare. It felt like Modern Warfare. But instead, it were already dead. And we hadn't even hit 2020 yet. Then dropped free-to-play juggernaut that dragged Call of Duty kicking and screaming into live service black hole. People called it revolutionary. I call it what it really fucking was. A weaponized storefront disguised as a battle royale. Let's give credit where it's due. Warzone launched strong. The dance were massive. Gunplay were tight. Loadouts were a unique twist. Dropping in with your custom class? That felt powerful. Gulag were genius. You died. You fought for redemption. Straight up gladiator vibes. It were chaos. It were fun. It were addicting. But underneath? Underneath it were fucking slot machine dressed in military fatigues. SBMM? Cranked. Modern Warfare's matchmaking was sweaty. Warzones were a Turkish bathhouse during Power Cup. Win a few games, you're now in sweat bracket. Welcome to Blender. Enemies with 8 KD, warlock-like awareness, and aim that made you question their humanity. Monetization, next level filth. This is where store became main menu. Best guns? They just happen to have variants in paid bundle. And if you even hovered over one, suddenly every enemy in next match was wearing it. You didn't need to buy, just show interest. That were enough. Psychological profiling in real time. You were being watched, tracked, probed, battle passes, bundled, collabs with Rambo and fucking Godzilla. It were COD in most unhinged corporatized form. Cosmetics were everywhere. Everyone were glowing. Guns looked like bait pen. You could barely tell it were a military shooter anymore. Warzone were less a game and more an experiment. A test to see just how far Activision could push you before you cracked and opened your wallet. And judging by billions that raked in, we cracked. Hard. This were only Warzone 1. Sequel? We'll get to that Frankenstein abomination soon enough. But first, Cold War, what moment I officially said, fuck this franchise. I booted it up, played a few matches, and felt grip at SBMM tighten around my neck like a marketing executive's belt during bonus season. Treyarch rolled out this twitchy, faster-paced follow-up to MW 2019, and it looked like COD were trying to find balance again. Classic minimap, back. Simpler mechanics, back. Map design, marginally less maze-like. But it didn't matter, cause matchmaking were now full-blown psychological warfare. First week, fine. Bit of fun, some nice rounds. Algorithm kicked in, it were tracking your stat, your loadout, your fucking shopping habit. Suddenly you weren't just playing game, You were being played by it. Every match were a goddamn sweatfest. No casual lobbies. One-off game. Every match were a stat-strangling, twitch-aiming grindfest designed to squeeze every last second of engagement at, and I felt it. I felt invisible hand pushing me to edge. I gave up. That what last COD I ever paid for, and I don't regret it for a fucking second. Campaign? Decent, but weird. Mind-fucking. Not bad, not amazing. Solid side dish. Zombies? Fun at launch. Solid maps. Clear progression. It had promise. Multiplayer? A rigged casino with guns. And store? Oh, store had evolved. Bundles were everywhere. Operators dressed like Fortnite reject. Shot button were larger than fucking play button. And don't even get me started on weapon tuning. Every gun you didn't own from a paid bundle just happened to underperform. Coincidence? Believe that, you probably still think Santa brings you battle pass. This what moment I stepped off train. And it turns out, station ahead were Vanguard, aka, what if World War II but with anime skins and zero soul? And let me tell you, I didn't play this one. Thank fucking God. I dodged a bullet, literally and metaphorically. Because this game sounded like it were assembled by blindfolded interns with access to leftover Cold War assets and a copy of Medal of Honor and Warfighter on VHS. Let's unpack what poor bastards who did play this were subjected to. Campaign. Yeah, there was one. Supposedly tried to be cinematic with flashbacks and diverse characters, but ended up being a soggy mess of cliches and one-note villains. It were like they tried to copy Inglourious Bastard, but replaced script with a napkin covered in buzzwords and Activision's quarterly targets. Multiplayer? Fast, shallow, forgettable. Map design were all over the place. Guns felt like they were made of plastic and dreams. And SBMM? Cranked up like nervous intern was sitting behind matchmaking button with a panic attack. Players couldn't get 3 matches in without being funneled into a sweat lodge. Average TTK were blink and die. And kill streaks? Might as well not have bothered. Half the lobbies ended before you could even earn one. Zombies? Absolute fucking disgrace. Treyarch duct taped together some half-baked hub-based co-op mode and called it Zombies. No round-based map, no real story, just objectives, grind and disappointment. It made Outbreak look like Game of the Year contender. And store? Oh, don't worry, it worked just fine. Skins, tracer packs, anime bundles, you name it, they were selling it. Of course they were. Your immersion might have been in gutter, but that Battle Pass XP sure looked pretty with a neon katana. Vanguard wasn't just a misfire. It were a contractual obligation dressed as a live service product. It reeked of desperation. Zero passion, zero innovation. Just filler between Warzone updates and Modern Warfare 2's hype train. I didn't play it, and by all accounts, that was best possible fucking decision I ever made as a gamer. Speaking of Modern Warfare 2 2022, game that promised nostalgia, teased legacy, and then pissed on your combat boots second you logged in. Now, I didn't even buy this one, but my lad, he got it me, so we could grind out guns for Modern Warfare 3 together. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, it'd be fun. Spoiler, it was fun, for exactly 5 fucking minutes. Let's start with good, cause there's barely any, and it won't take long. Gunplay? Solid. Weight? Snappy. Weapons look sexy, sound design slapped. Tactile, crunchy and sharp. Everything you'd expect from Infinity Ward's top tier engine. DMZ? Now that what one shining light. My son and I dropped in and just vibe. No SBMM, no sweat bits, just scavenging, exploring, exfil laughing. It wasn't perfect, but it was something new. It had potential. Real fucking potential. And then there's everything else. Multiplayer? Trash. SBMM turned every match into pub stomper simulator, except your one being stomped. Maps? Sterile. Forgettable. Not one shipment moment. No terminal. No personality. Movement? Budget. They took slide cancelling and gutted it like a fish, just to appease casuals who die to corner campers and tweet about it. And don't even get me started on menus. Designed by aliens, on lean. You couldn't find your class setups without clicking through 4 pages of UI spaghetti. It was like navigating fucking dark web just to equip a red dot site. Store? Oh my fucking God. Front and centre. Always highlight. Always tracking what you looked at. Didn't buy that anime skin? Cool. Now 5 lobbies in a row magically be filled with people wearing it. Coincidence? Not even slight. Called Targeted FOMO. Modern Warfare 2 what blueprint. I played it for a full month, and I hated every second outside of DMZ. Everything screamed spend more, stay longer, we're watching. SBMM was suffocated, gameplay was stale, and monetization, predatory, blatant, aggressive. This wasn't a sequel, it were a spreadsheet with a trigger. It didn't care about fun, it cared about funneling you towards fucking shop. And yet, I kept playing, cause Modern Warfare 3 was just around the corner, and they promised me classic maps. They promised me a return to form. Ha! Fucking audacity. But we'll get there. Modern Warfare 3 war full on, let's tease the nostalgia, cash grab. The dangled terminal, high-rise, rust in front of us like a bag of sweets outside a fucking van, and we all fell for it. I got roped in, classic maps are back, they said. Fast gameplay's returning, they lied. And for a few glorious weeks, felt like 2009 again. Gunfights were snappy, movement had some flow, nostalgia hit harder than a fracked at bollocks. And then, reality kicked door in, started rearranging furniture. SBMM turned up so high it may as well have been running fucking CERN particle accelerator. Every match became a stress test for your soul. You couldn't have fun, you couldn't chill, you couldn't even experiment with loadouts without getting punished by algorithm. And then there were fucking shop. Store took over everything. It were front and centre, glowing like Eye of Sauron on meth. Didn't buy a skin? Nights in every match. Browsed a bundle for 0.3 seconds. Expect 6 lobbies in a row or operator cosplay wearing exactly what you hesitated on. It was psychological warfare, not just FOMO, weaponised tracking disguised as player experience. And yeah, I bought a couple bundles, but only cause I had COD points left over from Vault Edition my son got me. I refused to spend a penny, cause it were fucking everywhere. Shop want a feature, it what core gameplay look. And multiplayer? Dead in a month. People dropped out like it were radioactive. But zombies? That what lifeboat. My son and I dropped in, did story quests, XP farmed like mad lads. It was fun, briefly, till repetition grind took over everything else. And when X-Defiant launched, we were gone. No hesitation. Out fucking door. Modern Warfare tricked us with map, baited us with nostalgia, and then pimp slapped us back into monetization matrix. It was a skin-wrapped corpse of a franchise, lurching forward purely by way to our misplaced hope. And we still had Black Ops 6 to look forward to. Or so we thought. Spoiler, it's worse. And now we arrived at Warzone 2.0, sequel nobody fucking asked for. Built entirely around retention metrics, monetization loops, and UI that looks like it was designed by a PowerPoint intern on ketamine. This wasn't an upgrade, this wasn't an evolution. It were a fucking regression disguised as fresh start. They took what worked in Warzone 1, chaos, flow, player freedom, and strangled it with spreadsheet. Loadouts? Nerfed into irrelevance at launch. Buy stations were janky. Looting were clunky. Backpack system? Gee, who thought that were a good idea? Opening inventory mid-fight felt like trying to read your tax return during the mugging. SBMM? Still there. Stronger than ever. Warzone 2.0 made sure if you won a game, you paid for it in blood, sweat, cheaters next match. It never let up. It wanted you to grind. Not to win, but to stay in system. Keep logging in. To chase those dopamine scraps for meaningless XP pops and fake progression. And that damn store, they were now fused into fucking gameplay. Operators glowing like lead condoms. Guns with tracer rounds that looked like rave glow sticks. If you even glanced at a bundle, it were in your next lobby, twice. Activision's tracking systems were no longer subtle. They were proud of it. Warzone 2.0 wanted a sequel, it were a reset switch. Not for gameplay, but for your spending habit. It brought flow, punished freedom, and replaced fun with funnel mechanics. By the time people figured it out, they'd already spent the Battle Pass token. Mission accomplished, Activision. Then came Black Ops 6, game that should have been a return to glory. A Black Ops revival, the last stand, a redemption arc. What we got instead? A fucking toddler's crayon drawing or a shooter, smashed together in a panic and shoved outdoor with shot buttons size of whale. Let's start at beginning. Beta. I managed 3 hours. 3 fucking hours. And I still don't know how. Janky hit reg, visual noise everywhere, maps that looked like they were built in Minecraft creative mode with motion blur turned up to vomit. Guns had zero weight, animations were off, UI were an absolute mess. It felt like playing COD through a kaleidoscope made of shit and disappointment. And then full release dropped. Thankfully I didn't have to pay a penny. Game Pass covered that car crash. And within minutes, I knew. Shop were front and centre, not campaign, not modes, not fucking gameplay. Store. Every menu pointed you to it. Operator bundles are for loadout, weapon blueprints are for perks. And if you so much as hovered over a bundle, surprise! That skin were in every match you play. Multiplayer? Worse than beta. Yeah, worse. Movement were floaty, gun balance were a joke, maps were either spawn trap batteries or just grey boxes with covers spammed everywhere like a toddler playing Fortnite in a sandbox. SBMM? Maximum overdrive. Every match a digital cage fight against meta-obsessed sweat goblins using paid skins and Cronus scripts. This wasn't a AAA shooter, it were a franchise corpse twitching under weight and marketing deadline. And let's talk about dev time. 4 years, thousands of devs. What the fuck were they doing? Because it sure as hell wasn't making a functional fun game. Honestly, it looked and played like it was stitched together in 4 months by sleep-deprived interns on a sugar crash. No polish, no passion, no fucking point. Black Ops 6 wasn't just bad. It were broken, bloated, and beyond save. A walking indictment of what franchise has become. And I swear, as someone who worked QA, I wouldn't have passed this in pre-alpha. Not on my watch, not in my department, not with my fucking name attached. This wasn't just a bad game. It were a slap in face to everyone who ever loved Call of Duty. But sure, Activision, keep selling anime bundles in World War fucking 3. That's real endgame, innit? Here's truth, stripped bare and bleeding. Modern Warfare 3, Warzone 2.0, Black Ops 6. They weren't just bad games, they were systems of control. Not built for fun, not for innovation, just manipulation, monetization and measurement. Let's break it down. You log in, first thing you see ain't your class setup or your progression, it's fucking shop. Big, flashing, animated. Look at what you could buy. And if you hover for a second too long, that skin's in your next match. It's not paranoia, not just matchmaking, it's engagement-based targeting. SBMM ain't about fairness anymore. It's about funneling you into frustration. It watches your performance, then matches you to squeeze that next login, that next match, that next fucking purchase. Win a couple of games? Boom. Welcome to Sweat Hell. Lose a few in a row? Game lets off pressure. Makes you feel good again. Just enough to keep dopamine loop twitching. You're not a player anymore. You're a metric. Every click track, every bundle hover, every kill, every death, every hesitation. Data. The trained game to emotionally blackmail you. Not outright, not directly, but with enough subtlety that it burrows under your skin. And when you're really vulnerable, that's when bundle you almost bought last week shows up again. On sale. 'Cause of course it does. They're new. They always fucking knew. This isn't tinfoil, this is documented, calculated, and executed by design. And worst part, it still looks like Call of Duty. It still feels like Call of Duty for about 10 minutes. Tilt walls closing, tilt sweat pause, tilt grind kicks, tilt store lights up like a fucking casino jackpot screaming your name. This is what happens when a franchise dies, but its corpse is profitable. This isn't a game anymore, it's a behavioural control system wearing a ghillie suit. And most players hadn't even noticed. But you did, I did, and that's why we fucking walked. And that, my friends, was Warzone era. Slow grinding death rattle of Call of Duty. What started as a twitching military shooter ended up a data harvesting storefront wrapped in a corpse wearing lead armour. It were never about gameplay, it were about psychology, retention, control. SBMM turned every lobby into a sweatfest. Store shoved its neon claws into your eyes, and we paid for it with our time, our patience, sometimes our fucking dignity. I quit franchise in 2020, and every game since has reminded me why that was smartest move I ever made. They've got budget, engine, devs, but they chose this. They chose profit over passion, and now they're choking on it. Join Discord, follow on X, channel memberships are open if you want more of this unfiltered filth straight from Vault. Smash like, hit subscribe, drop your own COD trauma in comments. I might feature it if it don't read like a press release. And I'll see you next time, you magnificent.